Okay, we're going to move to our public comment portion of our meeting. And again, these public comments can be submitted in writing, and they can be lengthy. As we have our comments here, we limit them to 2 minutes per person. If a comment can express support or dissent from regulatory action. Individuals should use the public comment, should not use the public comment to complain about personnel issues or attack or defame an individual. Speakers making a highly detailed or complex comment should consider that in writing. We do value those submissions. And please remember that children may hear your comments. Be thoughtful and professional. So we, again, appreciate those that have signed up. We're going to go to the in-person first, and we have 2 here. So we'll start off with Monica Wilbur. And Member Straight, can you turn that while you're up? Can you turn the podium or somebody? Oh, no, we got it. Turn that light on. Thank you. Monica, welcome.
Thank you. Good morning, Board. The Utah Accountability Redesign, if adopted by the Board, will definitely lead to growth, just not the student achievement growth its supporters claim will happen. We will, however, see unprecedented growth in the shaping, tracking, and measuring of our children's attitudes, beliefs, and behaviors. We will see exponential growth in the collection of personal data on students and teachers alike. And we will see the USBE's control over districts, schools, and students metastasize in every aspect of curriculum, instruction, teacher development, and accreditation. One of the reasons the USBE is shifting from measuring student academic performance to measuring students' attitudes and dispositions is clear. Utah's schools are failing our students academically. Statewide, fewer than half our students are performing at grade level in English, science, and math. In my children's high school, only 12% of students are proficient in science, 17% in math, and 23% in English. These stats are embarrassing. Is it any wonder that some would prefer to assess student performance on more subjective and easily manipulated emotional competencies like wellness and collaboration? These, among other competencies described in the Board's Equity Project, Portrait of a Graduate, will be scored for students. Page 15 of the redesign states, student attainment of Portrait of a Graduate competencies is the primary intended outcome of the redesign. When the Board introduced Portrait of a Graduate, it said these competencies were just aspirations, not necessarily meant to be quantified or measured. And yet the redesign, no fewer than 38 times, specifically mandates assessing students' attainment of these competencies through personalized competency-based learning. In education, you only assess what you want to control. Assessing our children's characters and values is unethical. It is wrong. You would not submit to the same treatment yourselves. Please do not support the redesign. Thank you.
Thank you, Monica. Next, we'll have Dave Slaughter.
They don't make these for me. All right. I'd like to thank the Board first for allowing me to make comment today. My name, as mentioned, was David Slaughter. My wife, Amber Slaughter's case number 221916 is on your UPAC consent calendar for this meeting, in which they are recommending a 3-year denial of license. Ever since we discovered she was referred to UPAC, I've learned all I can about the rules of the proceedings of UPAC and this Board. I found the disciplinary rules are clear and specific, allowing for consistent and fair decisions. In my letter to the Board, I outlined this consistency in cases similar to my wife's. Rule 277-211 states the UPAC must make recommendations consistent with Rule 277-215, in which my wife's situation is consistent with Rule 8B, minimal physical contact, which warrants a letter of warning. This is also consistent with past cases I've noted in my letter. In the DCFS case that followed the incident, no charges were filed, no abuse or harm was found, and the victim, our son Lloyd, was interviewed and did not feel threatened. This case also warrants several mitigating factors listed in 277-215. That include 3B, young and new to the profession, 3C, attitude that reflects recognition, 3E, no disciplinary history, 3F, extended class time after incident with no issue, 3I, voluntary treatment, and 3L, in which the incident happened outside of a classroom, not at a school event, and to our son, who can only loosely be defined as a student at that point. Amber's excited to be a teacher and also eager for the state of Utah. She brings a high quality and honors from her almost completed education. Once again, I'd like to thank the board for their time and careful consideration in this case.
Thank you, Dave. Next, we'll go to our Zoom. We'll start with Joe Jensen. Are you with us, Joe?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Please continue.
Okay, I first want to just thank the board for the work you do. We have fantastic schools in our state, and it's the work you do is significantly important, obviously. So I just wanted to take a moment to correct a fairly significant lie that has been spread about Timpanogos High School and the sensitive materials. And I can't speak to all accusations across the state, but it's significantly concerning when schools are purposely maligned with false information. It's already bad enough that schools are often judged by the outlier negative story in the media, but then when actual misinformation is spread, it's even worse. I'm going to send you this in an email as well with the information, but just in a nutshell, we received a list of 52 books from our district during the summer that we were told to restrict. I forwarded that to my librarian and English teachers, and they restricted the few books that we had from that list. We had one teacher in her classroom library. She had 3 of those books. She pulled those books, put them on her refrigerator behind her desk, where they were not accessible to students. Then she got sick for an entire week. I believe it was the second week of school. Long story short, we had a substitute teacher that came in, and she saw those books, and she pulled those books out and staged them and took photos of them, and then wrote a fairly significant diatribe about how Timpanogos High School is trying to get pornography in the hands of kids, which is nothing could be further from the truth. That letter was sent anonymously to Alpine School District, and it was apparently also sent to Natalie Klein, because Natalie Klein posted that on the Facebook page, amplifying the lie.
Joe, can you sum your comments up?
Yes. Anyway, long story. When we met with her, she admitted the books were behind the teachers' desks where the kids did not have access to them, and she admitted that she staged the photos. I invited her to try to correct the lie that she had perpetuated. Instead, she's continued to perpetuate that lie in public. I will send this in writing to you, but I just want you to know we are doing everything we can to keep kids safe in every way, including sensitive materials. But there are some situations where there is significant misinformation being put out. Sorry for going over time.
Thank you, Joe. We'll look forward to that submission. Next, we'll have, is it Renee? Rennie.
Hello, it's Renee.
Renee, okay. Pinckney, thank you. I'll have put my glasses back on. We can hear you.
Thank you. I'm Renee Pinckney, a social studies teacher serving as the UEA president. Having been present for the USBE presentation to the interim Senate Education Committee, UEA wanted to express our appreciation for the state board's thoughtful process in adopting Board Rule R277628, which appropriately tasks locally elected school boards with developing and adopting a library materials policy. Local school boards have been elected to represent the perspectives of all their constituents and community members and can be most responsive to their needs. In addition, as a professional educator, I know that working in partnership with parents on what each student needs to be successful is what achieves the best outcomes for students. Utah educators care about the success of every student and are deserving of our trust and respect. UEA believes the professional judgment of educators is critical to the development of sound education policies and programs. As a member of the writing committee of the secondary social studies standards adopted in 2016, I know the expertise and time commitment required. It is vital that the work completed by the Elementary Social Studies Standards Writing Committee be acknowledged when you adopt the elementary social studies standards. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Renee. Next, we'll have John Arthur. Are you with us, John?
Yes, Chair. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. I apologize. My internet's a little unstable, but here we go. Thank you so much. It's been one of the great honors of my professional life, contributing as a writer for our new K-6 social studies standards and advising the board throughout the revisions process. And in case there's not an opportunity to make these recommendations tomorrow, I wanted to humbly offer them to you now. As you know, these standards are tricky to amend because they're organized like a Jenga tower, horizontally aligned across strands and vertically aligned across grade levels. Every piece you remove, add, or alter weakens the integrity of the overall structure. When Standards and Assessment voted up or down on the proposed changes to the 5th grade standards, it took a toll on that tower. For example, our standards are meant to be taught sequentially from 4th grade up, but the new 5.2.2 asks students to compare the Declaration of Independence with the Bill of Rights. But at that point in the story, we haven't even won the war yet. Also, all the standards in Strand 5.6 were adopted as optional standards. With all due respect, I'm not sure what that means. I don't know what optional standards are. It's like saying optional requirements. Is it optional or is it a requirement? These teaching standards are a technical manual for professional educators. We don't read them for good ideas. We reference them to make sure we're doing our job. And 5.6 is the one strand that finally insists that our kids take all that knowledge they've gained and put it to good use, to view themselves as empowered citizens and contributing members of our communities with rights and responsibilities to positively impact the state and nation they love. That shouldn't be optional, that's essential, and gets me excited to teach social studies. Before the up and down votes took place, Member Straight motioned to pass the 5th grade standards as submitted by the writing committee. As an advisor to this board, I recommend that you revisit that motion and pass it for both the 5th and 6th grade standards. Utah's teachers will thank you, and our standards will be the better for it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, John. Next, we'll have Erica Tahera. If you'd help me with your last name, that'd be great. Let's see, it's Eric. Are you with us?
Yes, I'm right here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. Hello, my name is Eric Tadahara. I'm with the Department of Health and Human Services, and I am the Assistant Director of the Office of Substance Use and Mental Health, and I'm here to speak in regard to the SHARP survey. Firstly, I'd like to thank the board for their time in this and also for the opportunity to listen to your continued feedback regarding the SHARP survey and the process. For the last 20 years, the SHARP survey was developed and administered in large part due to the partnerships at state and local levels across Utah. The SHARP survey falls under the purview of the Department of Health and Human Services, and we value the partnership with USBE and the local education agencies across the state. We will continue to listen and actively participate in conversations to improve the development, administration, and transparency of the SHARP survey. Active listening and collaboration have always and will always be integral to our process. We have heard the concerns and we are actively discussing the work group recommendations. And through that, we look forward to working with USBE and your staff on the administration for 2023 and beyond. The collective goal is to positively impact the lives of families and their children across the state of Utah. Myself, Heidi Dutston, and Mary Johnson will be available in person during the 4 to 4:30 part of the meeting to answer any possible questions you may have. And with that, I'd like to thank you for your time.
Thank you, Eric. Next, we'll have Nicole Mason. Nicole? We're not hearing you.
Okay,
Now we are.
good morning. Okay, my name is Nicole Mason with Utah Parents United. I want to thank you for your work on the social studies standards. We are so grateful that you added the teaching of the Constitution to the 3rd grade, and we appreciate your willingness to continue to improve the standards. As you continue your work, we would respectfully request 2 things. First, that you clearly define the standards. The performance audit of curriculum and teacher training released in October discusses repeatedly the need for more guidance. The audit recommendations on page 49 request more guidance 6 times. They suggest more uniformity and a formalization of expectations. I think the same recommendation should be applied here. I sincerely believe that clearly defined standards will help the relationship between parents and teachers because everyone will be on the same page. Teachers will know exactly what needs to be taught, and parents will know exactly what their kids will be taught. Without clear expectations, it's anyone's guess what individual teachers will choose. I don't think what students learn should be dependent on what teacher they have. One teacher emphasized that in order for something to be taught, it needs to be spelled out in the standards. My second request is to write the standards through a lens of American exceptionalism. Let me explain. One teacher in the Davis School District who lived under the communist rule in China said, "Our students are not being taught historical facts about communism." Because this is not clearly defined in the curriculum, she created an event at the state capitol this Monday, November the 7th at 6:30 to educate and warn the public of the realities of communism. This teacher explains that our current standards do not properly illustrate what rights we have in America, that the rest of the world, or that we have in America, that the rest of the world has never had. So just to sum it up, American exceptionalism doesn't mean we are superior. It means we are the exception to the rule. It's something that we should be proud of and emphasize in our standards. So please support standards that inspire a love of country. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. This concludes, I believe I've checked everyone off the list of our public comments. And again, the invitation goes out to the public to submit comments in writing also. So thank you for participating in our meeting today.